When Pope Francis, the Pope of compassion and humility, drew his final breath, the entire Catholic world bowed in mourning. But amid the tolling bells from the Vatican and the quiet prayers in churches, there was a more private, deeper sorrow, the grief of a family losing their most beloved member. To many, he was a symbol of faith and justice. But to Maria Elena, the sister who had shared a lifetime with him, he would forever be Jorge, the older brother who wrote her letters every month, the hand that held hers when they were children, the guiding light through her loneliest years. The legacy Pope Francis left behind wasn't found in golden crowns or grand thrones. It lived in the smudged ink on old paper, in the irreplaceable memories. And it was this that moved his family to tears. If you find this story thought-provoking and believe more people should know the truth hidden behind the Vatican walls, don't forget to comment 1 if you feel a connection to Pope Francis, have witnessed or empathized with his emotional journey, or 0 if you have a different perspective. Like and share so your friends can follow this story too. Mourning the passing of Pope Francis. The Vatican has announced that the Pope has died. He passed away at 7:35 a.m. local time today. As the world grieves the loss of Pope Francis, headlines speak of history, legacy, and leadership. But far from the Vatican, beyond the cameras and away from the spotlight, a woman sits in quiet sorrow, not as a member of the global church, but as a sister. Maria Elena Bergoglio, the youngest and only surviving sibling of the Pope, has remained silent for many years. While her brother led over 1 billion Catholics with humility and grace, she stayed in the shadows, never seeking attention, never speaking publicly, until now. After her brother's passing, Maria Elena finally broke her silence, and what she revealed brought the world to tears. "He didn't leave us wealth," she said. "He left us something far deeper, and that is why we cry." This is not a story about gold or hidden bank accounts. This is a story about a kind of wealth that cannot be counted. Letters, sacrifices, silent pain, and love too deep for words. It is the story of a brother who gave his entire life to the church, and of a family who had to let him go long before the world ever knew his name. From their childhood struggles in Buenos Aires, to the moment he left home to follow his calling, to the quiet sorrow of having to share him with the world. This is the story of the man behind the papal crown, and the true legacy he left behind. It's not what you'd expect. This is the legacy of Jorge Mario Bergoglio, seen through the eyes of the one who knew him best. Stay with us. You're about to hear a story no one else could tell. The quiet sister, Maria Elena, has broken her silence. For years, Maria Elena Bergoglio said nothing. While her brother stood on the balcony in Rome, waving to millions and addressing world leaders, she remained hidden in her home in Ituzaingó, Argentina, quiet, humble, and unseen. But now, after his passing, that silence has ended. In a quiet interview, Maria Elena did something she had never done before. She shared who he truly was beneath the papal robes, and what she revealed was not only moving, but deeply heartbreaking. To the world, he was Pope Francis, she said. But to me, he was Jorge, my brother, my protector. Growing up in a small working-class home in Buenos Aires, their family struggled but remained close. Jorge became the eldest son after their brother Alberto passed away. Of course, he became the leader, the one who cared for everyone, especially after their father passed away. When Papa died, Jorge stepped up. He worked harder, helped their mother, and kept the family together. He never complained. Maria recalls that he wasn't famous. He wasn't a saint. He was simply a brother who read bedtime stories to her and taught her how to pray. But as time went on, and the world began to see Jorge as a saintly figure, Maria Elena stayed behind by her own choice. "I wanted him to focus on the church, not worry about his sister at home," she explained. However, the distance remained painfully real. Even as he rose through the ranks of the church, first as a Jesuit priest, then as a bishop, and later as the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, Maria Elena watched from afar, proud but deeply hurt inside. She respected his calling, but that didn't stop her from missing the brother she used to laugh and joke with in the kitchen, the one who would sneak out to play soccer and say to her, "Don't tell Mom. We lost our privacy. Our lives changed overnight," she said about his election to the papacy in 2013. Then he belonged to the world. But now that he is gone, Maria Elena says it's time for the world to know the true story. Not just of a pope, but of a man who gave everything, even himself. She says his wealth wasn't in money or material things. It was in how he made people feel, in what he left in their hearts. He sacrificed his life for others, and now he has also given away his silence. "But I will not remain silent anymore," she says softly, because sometimes the strongest legacy is not what the world sees. It's what those who know you best remember first, and for Maria Elena, that legacy is worth every tear. So, what exactly did Pope Francis leave behind, and why did it bring his sister to tears? A life of poverty or hidden wealth? Born in Buenos Aires in 1936, Jorge Mario Bergoglio was the son of Italian immigrants who had fled fascist Italy. His father worked on the railroads. He was a born fighter. At 21, an infection led to the removal of part of his lung. Jorge graduated as a chemical technician. His first job was as a bouncer and bar doorman before choosing the path of priesthood. He was ordained in 1969. He later became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, and in 2001, Pope John Paul II elevated him to the rank of cardinal. He held several key administrative roles before, in 2013, at the age of 76, his fellow cardinals elected him to lead the world's 1.3 billion Catholics. Taking the name Francis, after the patron saint of animals and the poor, Pope Francis became known for his simple lifestyle. No throne, no private jet, no luxurious Vatican apartment. He chose a guest house over the papal palace. He wore ordinary shoes. He carried his own bag. To the outside world, he owned nothing. But after his death, something surprising came to light. He left behind a legacy, not of money, land, or luxury, but of something far more powerful: sacrifice, love, and meaning. "He didn't leave us a legacy you can touch," Maria Elena said, "but what he gave made us weep." Growing up, the Bergoglio family had very little. Their father worked as a railroad accountant, and their mother stayed home to raise 5 children. If the story of Pope Francis and this simple yet profound family love has touched your heart, please click like to help spread the message of compassion. Share this video with your loved ones, because sometimes the most precious gift we can offer one another is sincere care. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more meaningful human stories like this one. Money was tight, but love was abundant. Jorge, the eldest surviving son, took on responsibility early. After their father passed away, he took extra jobs to support the family. He became a second father, the backbone of their small home. His wages kept food on the table. His strength and presence held the family together. "We didn't realize it at the time," Maria recalled. But Jorge was quietly building a different kind of legacy, one that had nothing to do with wealth. "He didn't buy his mother diamonds," she said. "He gave her peace of mind." He didn't promise wealth to his siblings. He gave them faith and guidance. He didn't chase status or fame. He lived to serve others. And even after becoming Pope, that never changed. After his passing, Maria Elena finally opened the drawer she had kept closed for years. Inside were letters, birthday cards, holiday wishes, and quiet reflections from Rome. "That was the real treasure," she said. "Every word felt like a piece of him. He reminded me that no matter how far apart we were never truly separated. The world measures wealth in dollars." But for Maria Elena, Jorge's legacy wasn't in possessions. It was in memories, devotion, and love. These are the things that remain, even as time and the world change. So when she cries, it's not for what he didn't leave behind. It's for what he gave, something no one else ever could. Then came the moment that changed everything. The day Jorge left home and never came back. The day a brother became a priest. In a quiet moment, he said, "I ask you, please, pray for me." We, the Filipino people, promised to pray for him. But more than that, Jesus also prayed for him. For it was the Lord who said to Peter, "I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail." Jesus prayed for him, and he was blessed. We, his beloved Filipino people, join Jesus in that same prayer. He came to the Philippines just 3 days ago. Tomorrow, he will leave. But the people do not want him to go alone. We don't want to send him back to Rome. We want to go with him, to the slums, the prisons, the hospitals, to places of art, education, politics, and science. We will go with him to bring the light of Christ to the world. Because Jesus is the center of his pastoral visit and the foundation of the church. Jorge was just 21 years old when he made the decision that would shape his entire life. At the time, he was simply Jorge. He loved soccer, was good at science, laughed loudly, protected his siblings, and brought energy into their home. Then one day, he sat down and told Maria Elena, "I feel called to something greater than myself." And so he left, entering the seminary, choosing silence and sacrifice. It felt like we lost him, Maria admitted. We were proud, but it hurt. Their mother tried to smile, but her eyes told the truth. She prayed deeply that night, and every night after. Their mother knew what it meant. Once Jorge had dedicated his life to God, they would see him less, hear from him less, but she never stopped loving him. At first, the letters came regularly. Jorge would write to check in, ask about schoolwork, and send his prayers. But as he advanced further in the church, their world grew more distant. Still, his absence was always felt. "He was like a second father to me," Maria Elena recalled. "When he left, I lost that anchor. But even then, I knew it wasn't abandonment." It was about purpose. He found something beyond himself. Even as a teenager, Maria Elena felt that. Her brother would not live an ordinary life. He was made for something far greater. The hardest part was knowing that loving him meant letting go. Jorge never sought fame. "He pursued God," she said, "and sometimes that meant leaving behind the people he loved." What he gave up that day wasn't just his home. He gave up birthdays, dinners, laughter, and ordinary moments. And in return, he gave the world a leader. Next, what did the rest of the family sacrifice to support Jorge's path? How did they quietly pay the price? It was a sacrifice for the family, a benefit for the church. People often talk about the sacrifices of Pope Francis, but few ask what his family gave up. When Jorge entered the seminary, it wasn't just his life that changed. It was everyone's. Their home became quieter. There was one less seat at the table. Their mother cried more often. "We supported him." "Of course we did," Maria Elena said, "but no one prepares you for how lonely it can feel." When their father passed away, Jorge stepped up. He became the guiding light, a helper. So when he left, that light dimmed. He was always the glue. When he left, we didn't fall apart, but we felt fractured. But they never stopped supporting him. They kept every letter, every photo, every article cut out from the newspapers. And when he was elected pope, they cheered and cried. It was the happiest and saddest day at the same time. Maria admitted, "The boy we used to run through puddles with is now the Pope, and we know we will never truly have him back." As Pope Francis's star rose, the family faced immense pressure. Journalists knocked on every door. Critics wrote headlines. Every family secret was dissected. But Maria remained silent until now. "We gave him to the world. That was our offering, and it came from love." She recalls her mother's words. "He no longer belongs to us. He belongs to God." And in the years that followed, as scandals emerged and politics shifted, the Bergoglio family remained strong, quietly bearing the emotional burden. The emotion of being related to a global icon. We cried in silence, but we always believed in him. Because behind every great man, there is often a family that gives more than anyone has ever seen. And for the Bergoglio family, the greatest sacrifice wasn't losing Jorge. It was knowing that they could never truly have him back. Next, what Pope Francis will truly leave behind after his passing, and why it brings his sister to tears. The hidden legacy, what he leaves behind. The Pope of the people has passed away, and Catholics around the world are mourning him. In the coming weeks, ancient and solemn traditions will take place. The Vatican is now entering a 9-day period in the mourning. Many masses will be held. The body of Pope Francis will be blessed. He will be placed at St. Peter's Basilica, where the public can pay their respects. Known for his unpretentious approach in 2024, the Pope approved a simple funeral for himself, a humility to the utmost, truly reflecting how he lived and served. But what he leaves behind is not power or authority. It is an example of simplicity, faith, and unconditional love. Typically, the body of a pope would be placed on a raised platform, but instead, Francis said he wanted to lie in an open wooden coffin without excessive display or luxury. When a powerful figure like the Pope passes, people expect treasures, relics, and secret chambers. But when Jorge Mario Bergoglio, Pope Francis, passed away, the Vatican found no riches to count. What he left behind cannot be measured in coins or gold. It lives in the words, in the letters, in the love. He had no wealth. He had relationships. Maria Elena says that was his treasure. In her home, kept in an old wooden box, Maria holds dozens of handwritten letters. Some are decades old. Some came just months before he passed. They are not formal. They are not filled with doctrine. They are brother to sister, Jorge to Maria. One letter reads, "Even from Rome, I still carry you with me." I pray for you every morning. Another one said, "I know Mom would be proud of both of us. Keep going. God sees everything." These were not public messages. They were private reminders of a bond that distance could never break. His words always gave me strength. Maria says, "Those words make me feel like he never truly left." After his passing, the family was given the Pope's clothing, memorabilia, and symbolic items, but the only thing Maria asked for were his letters. "They mean more to me than anything the world could give." Because those letters are proof. Proof that the man behind the white robe never forgot who he was or where he came from. He left the Vatican with a church in mourning. But he also left behind a sister who holds the truest parts of him, his humor, his heart, his humanity. And that is the kind of treasure that no one can steal. Rumors, pain, and the scrutiny of the public. Even the Pope was not safe from the world's criticism. After Jorge became Pope Francis, the world dug into his past. And what they found was not just faith and humility, it was controversy and pain. Some accused him of staying silent during Argentina's brutal military dictatorship in the 1970s. Others said he became a priest because of his suffering, that he had loved and lost, then turned to the church for comfort. And for Maria Elena, witnessing these stories spread was a torment. "People say things they don't understand," she says. "They see a picture and think they know the story. But the real story, according to her, is far different." Their family had fled fascism in Italy before settling in Argentina. Their father was an opponent of the regime, and the legacy of standing up against tyranny was passed on to Jorge. When the dictatorship took power in Argentina, he did not turn away. He played a dangerous survival game. He helped people. He protected his priests, but if he spoke out loudly, they would kill him, Maria explains. So he worked quietly, secretly, carefully. The most famous case, two Jesuit priests, Orlando Yorio and Francisco Jalitz, were arrested and tortured by the regime. People claimed Jorge didn't protect them, but what the media missed were the testimonies of those who survived. Some even reported that he saved their lives. He risked everything, but no one wanted to hear that. She says he never boasted. He just did what was right. Then came the rumors about his love life. Some said he joined the priesthood because of a woman, that he had a broken heart and fled from love into the arms of God. Maria, she called it nonsense. Jorge felt his calling as a teenager long before anything like that happened. She says he didn't leave love behind. He ran toward a greater love, God. For many years, Maria remained silent. She didn't defend him in public. She let the world think as it wished. But after he passed away, she felt the need to speak up, not just for him, but for the truth. He was not perfect. He was human, but he was never weak, never fake, never silent for the wrong reasons, she says. When her brother became pope, the spotlight was on the whole family. Some ran away. Maria stood still, grieving in silence. Now she's ready to set the record straight. And next, she reveals something even more private. His final words to her. His last letters. The final words of a brother. Sometimes the greatest treasures are found in envelopes, tucked away in drawers, wrapped in a faded ribbon. Sincere words not meant for the whole church, but for a sister who once sat beside him at dinner, who saw him cry, who believed in him even when the whole world doubted. And in every line, there remains a Jorge who never truly left. He simply went home. Maria Elena holds a collection of letters. They are not Vatican press releases or papal statements. They are handwritten notes, ink on paper, from Jorge, her brother. And the last letter, it came just a few weeks before he passed away. She says it's short, but it says everything. In that final message, Jorge wrote, "My body is tired, but my heart is strong. And you, Hermana, have always been a part of that strength." He didn't mention his illness. He didn't say goodbye. He only wrote about hope, about faith, and how proud he was of her. He told me to keep going, to pray, to love, she recalls, holding the old paper tightly as if it were made of gold. That letter made her cry, not only because it was the final letter, but because it reminded her of the boy he once was, the one who secretly slipped chocolate under her pillow, the one who held her hand when their father passed away. Even as the Pope, he never stopped being my brother. She says that throughout his time as Pope, Jorge never let his reputation change him. He still sent letters, still kept in touch. Even though the church needed him, he always took time to write. "Pray for me. Don't stop. I feel your prayers from here." Those letters are his legacy to her. It wasn't the grand title, not the inheritance, just love written in his own hand. In one letter, he included a photo of them as children. Maria keeps it on the table next to her bed. In another letter, he sent a pressed flower from a Vatican garden. "He didn't just write, he gave me pieces of himself," she whispers. And in that final letter, he wrote something she still remembers to this day. "No matter what happens next, you will always have my prayers and my love." That was Jorge's final gift. And for Maria Elena, It is worth more than all the wealth in Rome. Next comes the final emotional chapter, how Maria carries his legacy and what his death truly means for the family he left behind. Not just the Pope of the Church, Jorge will forever be ours. To the world, he was Pope Francis. But to Maria Elena, he was always just Jorge. And even now, after the white cassock has been folded and the Vatican bells have fallen silent, he is still her older brother. She lights a candle in his memory, not for the Pope, but for the boy who walked her to school, who called her Chinita, and gave her courage when the world felt too big. People say he belonged to the church, but I know he always belonged to us, she says softly. She remembers the way he listened, the way he laughed. Not as a pope, but as a man, as a brother. Now she holds on to his memory through the letters, the words, and the values he upheld. Kindness, service, faith. I didn't just lose my brother, she says. I lost my spiritual guide. She admits that sometimes she wishes he had never become pope, that perhaps if he hadn't been chosen, she would have had more years with him, more conversations, more hugs. Sometimes I wish the world hadn't taken him from us, she says. But then I see the people he helped, the lives he touched, and I know it was worth it. The world may never fully understand the cost of the papacy, the loneliness, the distance, the sacrifice, but Maria knows, and now she shares their story. Not to gain sympathy, but to reveal the truth. He wasn't just a holy man, he was a good man, she says, and I want everyone to remember that. Even though he's gone, Maria says she still feels him. Sometimes when I pray, I feel like he's sitting next to me, as if he's still here, whispering, "Don't be afraid." In a world that chases headlines and drama, Maria's truth is like a soft hymn. Because this story is not about wealth or even about religion. It's about family, about a sister who loves her brother more than words can express. About a pope who never stopped being a big brother, and a legacy not printed on money, but written on the heart. The world lost a pope. Maria Elena said, "But I lost my Jorge, and I will never stop loving him." The legacy of Pope Francis is not measured by power or wealth, but by the love, faith, and devotion he gave to the world, and above all, to his own family. For Maria Elena, what remains is not a global icon, but Jorge, the brother who quietly loved, who always wrote letters, and who always prayed. In an increasingly noisy and distant world, this story reminds us that the most precious things are not found in titles, but in sincere gestures, in familial bonds, and in memories that never fade. If this story has moved you, please hit like on the video as a tribute to the beloved spiritual father of the world. Share this video to spread the message of love, sacrifice, and the value of family to more people. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to continue joining us in inspiring and deeply human stories like this one. Thank you for taking the time to listen.